Duke Eclipse presents the Horror Hideout Podcast, a podcast covering everything horror, including books, comics, and movies. Presented by Dawson Duke and Kayla Bullock.
Welcome back to the Horror Hideout Podcast. This is episode 10, and today we're going to be covering the book Seven Rabbits by Timothy King.
I'm so excited for this one. I've talked about it so much, I can't wait to get into this one. So if you follow our channel, earlier this week we released an interview that I got to sit down and talk to Tim King at an event called Books and Brews that was in Noblesville, Indiana, at the beginning of August. If you haven't listened to the interview, go back and listen to it after we talk about the book. But he's just a cool guy all around. Really laid back, really neat to be able to sit down and talk to him, and I appreciate him taking the time to do that. But let's dig into Seven Rabbits.
Before we do, though, I will say this is a very heavy book, so I would check the description for our trigger warnings before you start this, because we don't want to cause any issues with anyone emotionally or anything.
And that is one big thing Tim stressed in the interview was check trigger warnings on this book.
And there are trigger warnings in his book, like at the beginning of his book.
And if you struggle, there are resources in his book as well to help. But yeah, definitely check the trigger warnings on this one. I would say this is probably one of the darkest things we've covered so far on our podcast.
Probably the darkest.
So, yeah. So, basic summary of Seven Rabbits. Seven Rabbits is about a group of high school football players who they always go to a cabin right before school starts for the weekend just to kind of party and do whatever they want and get ready for the school year. And while they're at the cabin, all hell breaks loose.
Yeah.
Obviously, Seven Rabbits, the people show up in rabbit masks.
Yes.
So I don't want to say much more because it'll give a lot away. So if you haven't read the book, stop, check trigger warnings, go read it, come back and join us to talk about the book. Do you have anything else you want to say before we dig in?
And is this his first book he wrote?
This is his first published book, yes. Yes. And it's so cool because I was a fan from the beginning from this book, and now I am one of his ARC readers and one of his beta readers. So I've seen all of his things that are coming. I won't say all because I don't know what he's working on in the backside, but I've seen a lot of what he's got coming up, and it's pretty cool.
So I think about all we can say about that is there's projects in the works, but we can't give you any more information on what those projects are.
Right.
But there's...
And I think on the interview he kind of touches on a couple of them that he's got coming up. But I am going to throw this out there, and I have told him this several times too. Seven Rabbits would make an awesome horror movie. And to me, it could be this generation's Scream.
See, I don't know about that.
See, I do. I think it would be amazing.
We can talk about it once we get more into the book, but I don't know.
You're just a negative Nelly.
I'm not being a negative Nelly. I'm saying I think it would be... I don't think it's the next Scream. I don't think Scream's a good comparison to make, in my opinion.
Well, we'll talk about that when we get into it a little bit more. So, chapter 1, I went through and did a breakdown of the chapters because we kind of jump around in time. We jump around between different people, so it was just easier to do kind of a chapter breakdown.
Yeah.
First chapter, we meet our football player team. We've got Chase. He is the 15-year-old.
And he's kind of our main character.
Yeah. He's the youngest of the football players going on the weekend trip, and he just moved to town 8 months ago because of his dad's job.
Yes.
So the book starts, Chase is in the car with his dad. He's being dropped off at, I think they're going to Justin's house.
I'm not sure.
I think it's Justin's house. So they get there, and then they're just kind of a typical group of high school boys. I mean, they're perverted, they're
vulgar.
Yeah, they're just typical high school boys.
One of them brings out alcohol and is like, "Oh, we're gonna party," and then sees that one of the parents is there and is like, "Oops."
And the parent that's there is the sheriff.
Yeah.
So.
And he says, "I know what you guys are gonna do. Just wait till I'm gone to start."
Right. So we meet Chase. We meet Justin. He's blonde, blue-eyed. He's quarterback. So kind of just your all-American typical boy. Football player that you would just think of typical Midwest, Actually, this book takes place in Florida, so I shouldn't say Midwest. Then we meet Trevor. We only see his name as Trevor twice in the whole book. His nickname is Ford. He's very redneck. He's a lineman on the football team. He's 6'6", 350 pounds, and he's the coach's son.
Yes.
And the coach they call Coach Chevy. So kind of that Ford Chevy thing has continued on through generations. We meet Cole. I think this is the only time they call him Cole. He goes by Irish. He's a redheaded football player. Nick, who is the police chief's son, he is twin to LaMichael. And he is quiet and not really a typical jock. Like, he's smart. Not that jocks can't be smart, but he's smart. He's, motivated for college and all that. And then LaMichael is the class clown. And he even says in the book that Nick has to help LaMichael just to keep his grades up to be able to play football. And then we have Hector. And we don't really learn much about Hector except for that he's Mexican or Spanish. They don't really tell us much about Hector.
Yeah.
So... Chapter 1 ends with them piling into a Jeep and they're headed to
a cabin
that is owned by Justin's family.
Yes. And like you said, they do this every year.
Yep. Yeah. But this is the first year Chase is
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's Chase's first year. Mm-hmm. So he's a freshman, right?
I think it said he was a sophomore.
Okay.
He's a sophomore because they say they don't give weed to sophomores.
Okay. And... Did they just arrive at the cabin here, right? Or
no, they just take off.
Okay.
They're not there yet. So chapter 2, we kind of switch gears. And it's not...
And I will say, before we get too much deeper into it, this book is like 200 pages? Like, around there. It's not super long, so you could sit down and read it in an afternoon.
No. And a lot of the we jump back and forth a lot in the chapters, and a lot of the chapters take place before the events at the cabin. You don't really know that, I guess, until kind of the end of the book. But anyway, so chapter 2, we meet Tiffany. She's at the police station with her father, Austin. They're waiting for an officer to come in. Officer Lopez comes in, who is Hector's dad.
Yes.
Tiffany tells them that she was raped by Ford.
Yes. And she asks them not to get Ford's dad or another cop in there that she knows is kind of like...
The chief.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But he goes out and gets the chief and brings him in there. And the police are just unsympathetic. Like, they are total a-holes.
They brush her off, and they make it sound... It's not that they don't believe her, it's that they know it could ruin his life.
Well, and they even tell that Tiffany says they were hanging out in his room, they were making out, he forced himself on her. The chief comes in and tells Tiffany she's lying and she wanted it, but now she regrets it.
Yeah, and if she was making out with him, then that was evidence enough.
Basically permission to do what he wanted. Which we do not agree with that.
No.
Like, and
the book
Tim,
doesn't either.
Right, Tim doesn't, the author doesn't agree with that. It's just how...
It's just this one character's opinion, yeah.
I mean, the whole town is kind of corrupt and like that.
Yeah, and it's kind of that thing where it's a small town and their most important thing is their sports team.
Right.
It's their football team.
Both of us, I mean, you came here a little bit later than I did. I mean, like, farther in your education, but our hometown's kind of like that.
Yeah.
Not to this quite extreme, but a lot of times
not that we know of.
Who you are. What your last name is. We saw that a lot. But I asked him during that interview, which I know it's going to be on here, but what his inspiration for all this, well, we'll talk about that later because I don't want to give too much away yet. But I did ask him what inspired him to write this story. So chapter 3, now we're at the cabin with the boys, and they're getting drunk off their butts, and they're smoking pot. They're just kind of being normal teenage boys. I mean, what you would expect with a group of football playing boys on a weekend trip with no supervision.
Yeah.
So then Justin puts up a PowerPoint.
Yes.
The PowerPoint is pictures of girls naked.
Yeah.
Some of them are passed out. Some of them look like they don't want to be in the pictures.
Some of them look like nudes that were sent privately.
Right. And all the guys are just kind of cheering and patting each other on the back, like, we have Irish to thank for this picture, and we have...
And we're from Chase's point of view right now, and he's talking about how sick he feels and how he wants to throw up, but he he kind of gets over it because he wants to be one of the guys.
Right. But he's just completely disgusted by it
Yeah.
all. Like, he just...
And he like tries to look away too.
Yeah. And they make him watch.
Yeah.
Basically, Justin tells Chase, if you want to be part of our brotherhood, this is what you have to do. So then, the last video is a video of Chase and his girlfriend Megan having sex in Justin's room.
And Justin, it was at a party, and Justin gave them permission to do it in his room. And Chase and Megan were both unaware there was a camera in their recording.
Right. So Chase is mad. He's like ticked off.
Because previous to this, someone sent this video to both of their parents, both Chase's parents and Megan's parents.
Right, but we don't know that yet.
I thought we figured that out here.
No, that's later on when he's talking to Megan.
It says Chase knew a video of him and Megan having sex had somehow made it to Megan's father. So yes, it does address it here.
Right.
And so Megan was sent to live with her aunt in another town.
We find that out later.
No, it says it right there in that same paragraph that she was sent to live with her aunt in another town.
I guess I missed that. I'm sure I... But anyway, so Chase is all ticked off, and Justin tells him, it's the price you pay to be in this brotherhood. That makes you one of us. This is what, this is how you have to be in you have to... I don't know. Basically, it's like this whole power trip for the football team that they can get these girls in these positions and vulnerable positions and take advantage of them, and nobody's going to stop them. So, the boys are drunk. Chase gets to the point that he throws up, and they're chanting puke and rally, so they get him drinking again. And then they just kind of, all the boys go to bed. Justin has a bedroom. They give Chase the other bedroom, and everybody else just kind of crashes around the living room. So chapter 4, where we meet Natalie Davis. She's in the kitchen with her parents. She sent nude photos to Hector.
Yes.
And he shared them around the school, but he said he didn't do it. He said somebody took his phone and did it.
Yeah.
They have this whole long discussion about going to the police, but they know, too, the police are not going to help because of him being a football player.
And I don't know if you've experienced this in real life. That's a common excuse that guys make for how nudes get leaked. They're like, oh, I didn't leak it. But really, they sent it to their friend, and their friend sent it to someone else, and...
I think in this instance, it was probably Hector or the football team that shared it with everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, because of the way they are untouchable in this book. They act like they're untouchable and can't be...
But I'm saying, usually when guys say, someone got my phone and sent it out, that's not true.
Right. So then chapter 5, we're back at the cabin. We do jump around a lot, but it starts to all kind of come together and make sense.
So everything we just talked about was in the past.
Yes.
The cabin is our present.
Yes. So Nick wakes up to go to the bathroom, and this was one scene that I just felt like could have been a little bit shorter. Like, there was a lot of description about him going to the bathroom, like how full his bladder was and everything, and we could have just...
Yeah, I don't know, though, because part of that, I think, is, like, emphasizing, like, how drunk they got and everything.
Yeah, that's true. So he goes to the bathroom, and he's getting ready to leave, and he looks out the window, and he sees 6-foot-tall rabbit ears sticking up out of the woods.
Out the bathroom window.
Yeah. So then the guy in the rabbit mask...
Did you say 6-foot-tall rabbit ears?
Uh-huh.
A 6-foot-tall man wearing rabbit ears.
He just talks about the rabbit ears being 6 foot up.
Yeah, but they're not 6-foot-tall rabbit ears. They're...
Rabbit ears 6 foot in the air.
Yeah. I just want to make that distinction so it's not like, oh, there's like giant rabbit ears poking out of the ground.
So the guy in the rabbit mask comes out of the woods. He stands under the lone light pole that's on the property. He's got on a rabbit mask and a blue jumpsuit.
Is he holding a machete? Or is that not till later?
That's not till later.
Okay.
And he waves at Nick. And later on, this wave kind of goes throughout the book, but it's kind of like a creepy, like, hold your hand up and just kind of wave 4 fingers. Kind of like a playful wave, but in an evil way. I don't really know how to describe it. Like, I can picture it in my head.
Yeah.
Like, just being, So Nick goes and wakes up the others.
Do we see the rabbit step back into the woods? Don't we see him backing up into the darkness?
Maybe.
I feel like we do.
So So Nick wakes everybody up, and Irish goes to check it out,
Yeah.
and he doesn't see anything out the bathroom window. So they're kind of arguing back and forth, telling Nick that he was just drunk, that it was just a dream. There's no one out there, and then the car alarm starts going off.
Yes.
And so Ford is like, he's like, I'm gonna go check it out, and they're like, no, just stay inside. And he's like, no, because these pussies won't sleep if I don't go check it out.
Yeah.
So, he goes to check it out. 3 of the rabbits come out of the woods.
Yes.
And then they're joined by a 4th one, and they attack Ford with machetes.
Yes.
And we think that Ford is dead.
Yeah. They, like, slash him up.
Yeah.
Like, they just keep going and going and going.
Yeah. Pretty uncomfortable scene. And a lot of the story in the cabin is, it's not first person, but it's from Chase's point of view. So
yeah.
It's like we're watching it out the cabin window.
It's third person, but it's not necessarily omniscient. It's third person focused on Chase.
Right. Yeah, that's a good way to say it. You're right. So Ford, he's screaming for help, all this stuff. They're not going to go out there. There's guys with machetes.
Yeah.
So they kill Ford, and then the final rabbit turns and does that wave again to the boys before he walks away.
And do we switch scenes here? Okay.
Okay, so now we're with Amani Winston, who's in the principal's office.
Yes.
And this scene made me so freaking mad. She had a meeting with, the principal had a meeting with Amani, is that how you would say it?
That's how I'd say it, yes.
Her dad. He's late to this meeting, and he's just kind of a blue collar worker.
Yeah.
Works hard. He comes into the office, he's dirty. I don't know if they ever say exactly what he does, but he's filthy. She doesn't even really want him sitting in her chair in the office.
Yeah, she's very snooty.
Yeah. So he finally gets there, and the principal gives them 4 minutes of her day.
Yeah.
And tells him at the end, which we'll get into what they talk about, but tells him at the end, maybe you should be on time next time.
Yeah.
So, Amani has been being bullied by the football team.
Because she's overweight, right?
Well, it started because Michael asked her out on a date and she turned him down.
Mm.
So then they started picking on her for her weight. They called her all kinds of names.
When she got near them, they would pretend like the ground was shaking. Yeah. I remember that specifically.
Yeah. And I know at one point later on they talk about how she had started making herself get sick.
Yeah.
To lose weight.
Yeah.
And then she was getting sent nudes to her phone.
Yeah.
So
from random numbers.
Right. And LaMichael is black.
Yes.
And she knows it's not him because the person in the picture is white. So
yeah.
she thinks it's Irish that was doing it. But the principal says none of this is actionable.
Yeah.
I'll talk to the coach, but there's nothing I can do.
Because
and there's something about her homework. They do something with her homework.
I don't remember.
They rip it up or something. I don't remember, but it's not that important.
But
anyway, they torture this poor girl, and the principal's like, it's not actionable. There's nothing I can do. And so when they're leaving the principal's office, her dad's like, this beep is not going to help us. So they leave. So then we go back to the cabin. We're inside the cabin with the boys. Justin locks the door. They stack things in front of the door and the window to try to stay safe.
Yeah, it just says that they stole her math homework and ripped it up.
Math homework, there you go. I knew there was something.
Yeah.
So Justin is kind of like the leader of the group. So he's telling everybody what to do. He tells some of the boys to block the door and window.
And he's a senior, right?
Mm-hmm. Him, the twins, and I think Ford are all seniors. But he tells 2 boys to go check their phones to call for help. He tells somebody to get 2 boys to get weapons. They have no signal on their phones. They go into the kitchen and find knives, and then Hector breaks the legs off of the coffee table to give to the other boys.
So they're pretty smart like they're a pretty smart group for
Right.
being in a situation like this. Like they try
Right.
to find weapons, they're going for help. Like they're not horror movie victims where they just make the
Right.
worst decisions possible.
Right. Um, and they start hearing these noises outside, and the rabbits are kind of dragging their machetes around the outside of the cabin.
Yeah.
So they know they're surrounded. They're trying to figure out how they're going to get away.
And they're talking about whether do we hear Ford at this point?
So they hear Ford screaming
Yes.
for help.
So then they're trying to figure out how they can get Ford out. So they're talking about it, and they're like, he's so big, I don't know if any of us can get him into the Jeep. And Chase volunteers and is like,
Something to do with wrestling.
Yeah, I've moved people bigger than him essentially, and it's like I can get him into the Jeep.
Right.
If
So-
you guys distract, I can get him into
Right.
the Jeep.
And so that's the end of that chapter. So now is where we were talking about with Megan and Chase. They're at the football field. I think
Yeah.
it's the football field
At the school.
bleachers.
I think they're on the field.
Are they? I thought they were
Yeah.
on the bleachers.
I think they're just on the field.
Well, she's crying and telling Chase she's being sent to live with her aunt because someone sent the video of the two of them to her parents,
Yeah.
and her parents are strict Catholics. And Chase is like, I'm sorry, I didn't know there was a
And-
video. I love you.
I don't know if it says that Chase's parents were sent the video or if they just found out because her parents were sent the video. But Chase's parents are not like upset at him about it.
Right.
They're like, "Did you love her?" And he's like, "Yeah." And then they're like, "I mean, we did stuff too. Like it's
Right. Right.
not the end of the world."
So they're trying to figure out how they're going to keep this relationship
Yeah.
going while she's.
And
Well,
you can tell,
they're sophomores, so I mean, for 2 years, because she even says I won't be able to come back till
Yeah.
I'm 18.
but she does say that he's allowed to send letters
Right, but that they'll have to be
scanned by the aunt.
censored
Yeah.
by the aunt. So then her mom shows up to get her in a car, and Megan's walking away, and she turns around and she says, I was not supposed to tell you this, but I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
And that's the end of the chapter.
Yep.
So then we're back at the cabin,
Yeah.
and they're trying to save Ford. And this,
And I will say, it might sound confusing us going back and forth here, but we're doing it very quickly. In the actual book itself, it's written very well, and I like the back and forth.
yeah. I will say that when Chase is trying to pick up Ford, is probably one of the most squeamish scenes
Yeah.
in this book for
Yeah.
me. I mean, there's one part where he grabs his arm and it just like he peels his skin
Yeah.
off. I mean,
I think it's when he
just-
first tries to pick him up, he
Yeah.
grabs, and the skin comes off his arm, and then when he gets him up on his back, he feels like his intestines squeeze poop out on his back, and
Yeah.
blood soaking his
Yeah.
shirt, and it's very visceral.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable. So obviously they decide that they go outside to save Ford to get in the Jeep. They're gonna get out of there.
And Ford is like ground beef at this point. Like they went to town with him with the machetes.
Yeah.
I don't even know how he's still alive.
He's barely hanging on.
Yeah.
So Chase is trying to get him up. One of the other boys is trying to help him get him up on him
Yes.
because Chase just can't because he's
Is
bloody.
is
and
it
he's
just
slick.
is it just him and the twins that are outside right now?
No.
Okay. I didn't know who all went outside.
Everybody.
Is it everybody?
I think so.
I didn't think it was.
Because a couple are standing guard.
Maybe it is everybody. I just didn't think it was.
So while he's double checking that, 3 rabbits come out of the woods. They're holding machetes. Then 2 more rabbits show up from the other side of the cabin. The boys start toward the Jeep, and the rabbits match them step for step. They don't get any closer.
They do all go out there, you're right.
Okay. So they don't get any closer, but they're matching the boys step for step. And to me, that would be scary. Like, to have these guys in rabbit suit, in rabbit masks, just following along behind you.
It makes
And
me-
you know that they have bad intentions, but they're just not doing anything.
It makes me think of like Michael Myers,
Yeah.
where they just like they're not in a rush to get to you; they're just slowly
Right.
walking.
Because they know they're going to get you.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
So-
we get a good description of the masks. I think we might even get a good description way back whenever he sees it from the bathroom window once he gets under the street light. But they talk about how it looks like an old like vintage Halloween mask that looks like it's been in storage for a long time.
and it's got like the mesh over the eyes.
Yeah. And you can still see their hair in the back because it's just like a cheap mask that covers the front.
with the string in the back.
Yes.
So Justin's trying to unlock the Jeep and it's not doing anything.
Yes.
And there's a sixth rabbit standing by the driver's door of the Jeep.
And did you mention that 2 more come around the corner? Okay.
I don't, yeah. I think I did. So, Irish and Justin freak out and they run into Chase and he falls on top of Ford.
Yes.
Which is another part that is squeamish. And obviously at this point Ford's dead. They did all this for no. I mean they tried, but he's dead. There's no saving him now.
Oh, and one thing about the cabin is there's only one door. There's no back door or anything.
Right.
There's just the front door, and then there's some windows, but there's just basically just the front door.
Right. So Chase is struggling to get up. He's half on top of Ford, half on the ground. He's kind of sinking into the mess that used to be Ford.
Is he on top of or under?
He falls backward, so he's on top of him. But so then he hears Nick scream, and Nick's been shot in the leg by an arrow.
Yes.
So Justin and Irish pull Michael back into the cabin and leave Nick and Chase out there.
Yeah.
Which we never really know where Hector's at.
I think it's mentioned.
He's inside the cabin at this point.
I think it's mentioned he goes outside with them. I think he's one of the ones that's standing by the corner when the 2 rabbits come around. I think there's 2 boys standing there with knives.
So they pull Michael back in. They lock the door. Chase goes to try to help Nick. He tries to get him up and get him to the cabin, and then they get surrounded by rabbits.
Yeah.
But then one of the rabbits, just the one that's faced in front of the door, steps out and kind of waves Chase on, go back to the cabin, and he lets him go.
They do not let Nick go.
They do not. He gets the same treatment as Ford.
Yeah. Does he?
Mm-hmm.
Or do they hang him up?
Well, I mean, they cut him up pretty bad with the machete, but he's still alive.
Yeah.
So he gets to the door and he has to knock to be let in.
Are you sure they cut him up here?
I'm pretty sure. They attack him with the machetes.
Because I thought they hung him up and then they decapitate him.
Well, they do. But they take care of him pretty good right here. So LaMichael and Chase get into a fight when Chase gets back into the cabin because LaMichael's mad that he left Nick out there. And Chase is like, what did you do? You left both of us out there. You left us out there to die. And so he ends up punching LaMichael 3 times in the face.
So Mom is right. It does say in the wording of the chapter itself that he is given the same treatment as Ford. Nick is.
Okay. So then we meet Katie. And this part was really heartbreaking. Katie is in a vehicle outside of a abortion clinic.
Yes.
And she's on the phone with LaMichael. And he is really unsupportive and he's just being a total jerk.
He's being super cold and he's like, I couldn't miss my practice to be there with you.
Right.
Isn't your dad with you? Isn't that good enough?
Yeah. And then she's like, I thought you loved me. And he says, I do. Take the care of this and we can be together again.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't know if I can do this. And he says, if she doesn't get the abortion, my dad's the chief of police and we're friends with all the big people in town and we'll make your life miserable.
Yeah. Because at first he's more just kind of dismissive of her, but then whenever she's more on the fence about it, he gets mad and angry and threatening.
Yeah. And so her dad though is just this, he's so sweet because he's like, are you sure this is what you want? And she tells him it's what I have to do.
And this whole time this is happening, they can see out the window that there's a protest going on outside the abortion clinic.
Yeah.
There's people with signs saying baby killer and all kinds of stuff.
And I thought the nurse that was waiting outside the door. So when Katie and her dad go up to the door, there's a nurse standing there.
Yes.
And you think it's okay, she's safe, she's going to go in. And the lady starts telling her it's not too late to turn back, you can save your soul from hell.
Yeah.
It was a fake nurse.
Yeah.
It's just...
Then they actually go inside.
Yeah.
and they talk to the receptionist, and she's much more helping than
Right.
the nurse outside. But
and then we see him leave after it's over. We don't. There's nothing graphic. There's
Yeah.
nothing.
yeah,
We see her talk to the receptionist. There's nothing about her going back in the room. There's nothing like that. But then we do see them leave after it's over.
we kind of hear her thoughts and her thinking about it, and she's like, I'm not doing this for him. I'm doing this to protect myself and my family.
Right. Which just goes back to the football players don't care who they hurt or what they do.
Yeah.
It's just,
They just want to have fun.
That chapter was really sad. So then we go back to the cabin, and the electricity goes out. They decide that they're going to go hide in the bedroom because it's smaller and it'll put another door between them.
Yes.
But they hear the sound of a hammer outside, and the rabbits are nailing Ford and Nick up to trees.
Yes. And they put a sign on... They put a sign on Ford's chest first, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what does it say?
Rapist.
And what does Nick say?
Abuser.
Yes.
But Nick is still alive while they're hammering him
Yes.
into this tree. And then what do they do to Nick?
They decapitate him.
Yeah. And of course the boys are watching all this.
Yeah. And of course, Nick is twins.
Right. And so Chase is kind of trying to keep Michael back so he
Yeah.
can't see what's going on. And they just got into a fight, but he's the one that really tries to calm Michael down.
Yeah.
And,
And the thing, though, too, is after Chase gets back inside and the whole, like, Michael punching him and stuff, Chase is like, what did you guys do? I was out there trying to save him, and you guys were cowering inside here.
Yeah.
What did you guys do?
Right.
And then he kind of has, like, a breakdown.
Yeah, he starts to freak out because he's got blood all over.
Yeah, he, like, curls up in a ball and is like, I need to, like, I can't, like, he can't function.
Yeah, and he takes his shorts off, and he's like, I have to get their blood off me. It's everywhere. Which I thought, it's not funny, but that part was kind of funny because they're telling him to be quiet, and he's like, why?
Yeah.
They know we're in here.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like, you're hiding. They know you're in the cabin. So anyway, they do decide to go ahead and go into the master bedroom. But as they're going, someone knocks on the front door.
And it's like a playful knock.
Yeah. Which kind of goes back to the friendly little wave that they're getting. Somebody said it reminds them of something their dad used to do when they were little. One of the boys, may have been Chase, because we mostly see from Chase's point of view, but so Hector doesn't listen to the guys and goes to look out the peephole, and he says, hey, there's nothing there. And then he gets shot through the eye.
Yep.
Through the door.
You know what it reminds me of? In Saw 2, when the guy puts his eye up to the keyhole and it says don't use the key on the door, and just as someone else is trying the key in the lock, the guy puts his eye up to the peephole and gets shot in the face.
Ooh.
The thing is, though, this is unrelated because I'm talking about that movie now, but in that movie, the thing about it is, it's like, what are the chances that someone would be looking through the peephole right as they're trying the key?
Right.
Like,
this makes sense because they were knocking on the door. They knew he was going to do that.
This makes sense. I'm just saying. Anyway, that doesn't matter. It just made me think of that.
So then they start kicking in the front door, so the boys go to hide in the bedroom, and they hear that the rabbits are inside.
So once they're trapped in the bedroom,
that's it for that chapter.
Yeah.
Then we move to Courtney.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about Courtney's story?
Do you want to?
I can. So Courtney is at a party with the football players. She doesn't really hang out with the football players.
She was invited to this party by
Hector. It's at Hector's house.
And she originally had plans to go hang out with her best friend this night.
Taylor.
Yes.
Yeah. So Courtney's at the party. They're getting her drunk.
And she really debated on whether or not she even wanted to come to the party.
Right. And she keeps telling him, like, no more. And they're like, no, one more. You have to keep up with us, one more.
Hector's like, I know you can do just one more.
Right. And she doesn't know that the drinks are spiked.
Yeah.
So she goes to lay down in Hector's bed, and she's raped by the entire group of boys.
Yes.
Except for Chase.
Yes. Chase is not here yet.
Chase is kind of like the most innocent guy in the whole
The
story.
thing is, though, I don't know how innocent he would be if he had been with the team longer.
You really think he would have done that stuff the way he was disgusted by the videos?
Yes, he was disgusted by the videos, but peer pressure can do a lot, and being in that kind of environment can affect you a lot. And even though he was disgusted by the video, he kind of dismisses it too by the end of the chapter.
Well,
He kind of buries it and swallows it down. And I don't know if any of the boys would have done this stuff if they weren't egging each other on. Because it probably started small and escalated.
Yeah.
Or it was one boy's idea and everyone got involved.
And there were no repercussions, so how
Exactly.
far can you push it? What
Because
can we get away with?
One of the people, their dad is a sheriff, so it's like, what is gonna?
And I think the other one of their dads is the mayor or works
Yes,
for the mayor
yeah,
or something.
yeah.
I don't
So-
remember which one.
So it's like, no matter what, they're gonna get away with it, so there's no consequences. It's like that thing. It's the old psychology thing where it's like, if you had a ring that let you turn invisible, what would you do with it? There's no consequences. Anyone with that kind of ring would eventually do something they're not supposed to.
Right.
And I'm not saying for sure Chase would have turned, but with the way he kind of swallows his disgust at the end of that one chapter, I could see him.
I don't know though, because he loves Megan. Like he
But-
actually loves Megan.
But normal people end up in cults all the time, and the way that happens is it's like when you boil a frog in water. You slowly turn the temperature up, and the frog doesn't realize it's getting hotter, and eventually it's dead. It's the same thing with cults, where they start with little stuff and they snowball into bigger and bigger stuff.
That's true. That's true. I've never heard the frog saying before.
Oh, you haven't?
Mm-mm.
They say that because if you just drop a frog in boiling water, it's going to jump out. But if you put it in a pot of cold water and then slowly raise the temperature, it doesn't realize it's getting hotter.
So Courtney can hear them taking pictures of her, and there's actually a scene once they get her in the bedroom and they're talking. They actually say that the drugs that I don't remember who it is, but he says he's used the drug lots of times.
Yeah,
and
they
she
never
won't remember anything. So then she wakes up in her own bed. She's sore. She doesn't remember
She's
exactly
bleeding
what
down
happened. But she starts to remember bits and pieces. Like she remembers Irish's red hair. She remembers one of the boys telling her, "You know you like it," or something like that. She remembers Hector's bad breath. Like
And
she
is it-
remembers.
Is it she pees and it's full of blood?
Yeah. So she writes a letter to her best friend Taylor and hides it.
In her underwear drawer?
Yes. And then she writes a letter to her parents. And then
Yes.
she texts Taylor and says, "I wrote you a letter, here's where it's at." And
Don't
then
let my parents see it.
Right, don't let my parents know what happened. She goes into the bathroom and she slits her wrist.
Yeah, and it reminds me, there's a scene in 13 Reasons
Hang on
Why.
just a second before you do that. Just talk about that. She slits from her wrist all the way up
Yeah.
to, like, her whole entire arm. Like, there would have been no saving her.
Well, that's what I was going to say. There's a deleted scene. It was in the original version of 13 Reasons Why, and they took it out. There's a scene where they show a girl doing that. She gets in the bath and slits all the way down her arm. And they got rid of that scene. But that's what it made me think of.
Yeah. It's just heartbreaking that,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, obviously this is fictional, but
I mean, there's a lot of
that
real life.
we have, like, as humans, we have that much influence on other people. Like,
Yeah.
we can ruin people's lives by, you know, something we want, something we feel we're entitled to,
Yeah.
and we can just ruin people's lives.
Being selfish is the root of all evil.
Yeah. So then we jump back to the cabin, and they're in the bedroom. The rabbits are in the cabin, and they block the doorway with furniture.
And let me say this. We don't actually read the notes here, but, do we?
No.
Okay. But, the note she left for her parents doesn't say anything about what happened at the party.
Right.
But Taylor's note does.
And that's why she didn't want
Yes.
her parents to see Taylor's note.
Yes.
So they're in the cabin, they're blocking the doorway so the boys can't get out. The boys are getting ready to fight back. Some of the windows get shattered, and then the boys are just kind of getting weaker and weaker.
Yes,
and then they all
a
pass
canister
out.
gets thrown in.
See, I didn't remember it saying that something got thrown in. Maybe, yeah, you're right, because they're asking what was that, because it started to hiss.
Yeah,
I gotcha. You're right.
I think they described it as like a silver canister.
Yeah. So the boys all pass out. That's the end of that chapter. So then,
And as they're passing out, they're like trying to. They're all trying to do stuff. Like they're all trying to get out and stuff, but they just don't have the strength.
right. So this chapter is where we meet Taylor. And I want to read this to you. It says, Dear Taylor, I'm going to keep this short. You are the best friend I could have ever asked for. You've been there for me through thick and thin. That's why I wanted to make sure you know why I did it. I went to that party, the one you told me not to. Something really bad happened. I don't want to write the word, but I'm sure you can figure out what they did to me. I couldn't live with it. Just know I love you. You're more than a best friend. You are my sister. BFF. P.S. Please don't tell my parents. So we don't see the note to her parents, but that was the letter that Courtney wrote to Taylor.
You know, well, we'll get into it after we talk about what actually happens here, but I wonder something.
So we kind of jump around a little bit in time on this part.
Yeah.
There's a part, I think she's thinking about it, but she's remembering part of Courtney's funeral, and the football players being in the back passing a phone around and laughing and just kind of like they didn't care that Courtney had passed away.
So presumably they were passing around the pictures they took of her.
Right. So like Dawson said, Courtney was supposed to be with Taylor the night of the party, and they actually got into a argument because Courtney decided to go to the party.
Yeah.
And she even talks about how she watched some of Courtney's favorite scary movies, but she didn't. She kind of blames herself because she didn't see the text message from Courtney.
Yeah.
Saying whatever she said in the text message that, she left a note for her.
Yeah.
But she wasn't paying attention to her phone because they got into an argument. So she kind of blames herself.
Yeah, because she thinks she could have intervened if she had gotten to her phone early enough.
Right. So then Taylor takes the meds the doctor gave her, and she goes to a park where they kind of grew up together and hung out together all the time, and she overdoses.
On purpose.
On purpose. And she takes Courtney's note and leaves it beside her.
Yes.
And that's the end of that chapter.
And it talks about at that point, when she pulls the note out, she keeps it in her bra, and she talks about how even though it's not that old, it's already falling apart because she's unfolded it and read it so many times.
Right.
I wonder if she was in love with her.
I don't know.
It doesn't say that anywhere, but I kind of get that implication.
I don't know.
And maybe that's just me reading into stuff too much, but it just feels like...
I mean, maybe yes, but it could also be like your best friend.
I know, but I
don't know. But it's sad, the ending of that chapter is so sad when she's like, she just wants to see Courtney.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just...
Yeah.
Whew. We told you this one was a rough one.
Yeah.
So then we're back at the cabin.
Yes.
And I promise this all comes together.
Yeah.
And makes sense. The boys wake up and they're duct taped to chairs out in the living room. And so this is when one of the rabbits finally takes off his mask, and we start to learn who the killers are. And so the leader of the group has somebody start the video that Justin had played the night before.
Yeah.
With the photos and the videos of the girl.
And again, Chase tries to not look, right?
And they make him.
Yeah. This time they like...
I think they threaten him if he doesn't watch.
Yeah. But before, whenever the other players made him watch, I think they just said something to him about it.
Yeah.
Like they were teasing him about it. But here, like they literally force him to watch.
Yeah. So we find out that the leader is Jack, who was Courtney's dad.
Yes.
So the whole group of killers is the girls' dads that these boys ruined their lives or made their lives hell.
Yeah.
He talks to LaMichael. LaMichael won't answer, so he punches him. Jack then cuts off one of LaMichael's fingers with coach clippers. And then he finally admits that they raped Courtney, all but Chase. We find out that Justin had set up the video camera and had recorded Megan and Chase.
Yeah.
And that Chase really didn't have any idea that this was going on. And we also find out that Megan's dad is there. He's one of the rabbits.
Yes. But he's not currently helping with the torture of the other boys.
He's kind of just back in a corner, kind of watching what all's going on. Um, so then we go to Taylor's house, and we meet Ron, who is Taylor's dad.
Yes.
And they've had the funeral, they've had the dinner. The only people left at the house are Courtney's parents, and Jack is Courtney's dad. So Ron asks Jack if he can help him take the trash out. And this is the first time Jack sees the note that Courtney left for Taylor.
Yeah.
And they even have a conversation about it that I thought Taylor didn't leave a note, and he says she didn't. He says she didn't. It's Courtney's note.
Yeah. And the implication I get is that he didn't show his wife.
No, because she is kind of a... I mean, this chapter talks about how he had to dress her for the funeral, and...
Yeah.
I mean, she's just kind of a zombie.
So, they both agree to not show the wives
Right.
that this note was left.
Right. So, Jack says we have to go to the police. And when they get there, they specifically ask for not to have Officer Lopez, who's Hector's dad, and not to have the chief.
And they bring the note with them.
Right.
And they do mention that they made copies of the note.
And so the officer that comes in, he's kind of like we saw at the beginning with... Who was it? Was it the police station earlier? The one that got raped. It's kind of the same situation that we talked about earlier, Tiffany. Where they just kind of blow her off, or they blow them off, and they're like, he's like, I'm going to go get somebody else, so he brings the chief in. Well, the chief is LaMichael and Nick's dad, so he's not going to do anything.
Yeah, and he takes the note, and he's like, I don't even know exactly what he says.
Well, he takes the note, and he tells them to leave. He says they're not going to ruin his boys' lives. Do they know what they're trying to do?
And he throws the note away.
Well, Ron asks if he can have the note back. I don't think we see him throw it away.
Okay.
He throws the notes away when the girl is in there earlier. But Ron asks for the letter back, and he says, "What letter?"
Yeah.
And Ron's like, "That's what I thought. Like, we figured that was how this was going to go." So then we're back at the cabin, and the next rabbit we meet is George Davis. She's Natalie's dad, and she's the one who nude photos got sent around. And they mentioned that Natalie's grandma saw them, and she won't even speak to Natalie now.
Yeah, because she's like hyper religious.
So he cuts off one of a finger from LaMichael. I'm not quite sure why they targeted him so much when Justin was kind of the leader of everything.
I don't know. I don't know if it's because because the police.
Oh, yeah, I didn't think it. Maybe, yeah. So then Austin Thomas is next. Ford is the one that Ford raped his daughter. He says he thinks they're kind of even because they killed Ford, but he still cuts off one of LaMichael's fingers.
Yeah.
And then we've got, would you say Micus?
I don't know.
Machias?
I think Machias sounds more.
Okay. So Machias Winston, he cuts off one of LaMichael's fingers. So the only one left is Megan's dad, Zach. Yeah. And he says he's not going to do it.
He says, just save Chase for me. Right. I just want Chase.
Right.
And they say something like, oh, everyone needs to get their pound of flesh. Because if they're all in it together, none of them can come out and tell what happened.
Right. And he says, I'll get mine, just not yet. So they actually cauterized the wound with a heated knife on his... He lost all 5 fingers on one hand and 1 finger on the other hand.
And so, which one of them is the one that they thought was going to be, like, on the fence? Because there's one of the...
George.
Okay.
Because he's religious.
Yeah.
But we'll get back to George.
I know.
So then, they cauterize LaMichael's hands. And, of course,
the way they cauterize it is they just have a kitchen knife in the kitchen that they heat up over a burner and then cauterize it.
Right, and, of course, we're from Chase's point of view, so he talks about the smell of the flesh. And, LaMichael, I think he finally passes out after they cauterize so many of them. And And this part was kind of heartbreaking because they show another slideshow, but it's the girls as they're growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a part in there where Jack tells the boys that Jack and the group of rabbits failed as fathers. They failed to protect their girls, but they can make sure they never hurt anyone again. And it's just kind of, obviously you're not a parent, but you're my son. I've talked about this a lot with people. Like, as a parent, your job is to protect your kids no matter what. And, if I remember one time, I think it was your younger sister, I slammed her fingers in the car door on accident. And I felt so awful for so long because you never want to hurt your kids and you always want to keep them safe. And sometimes things happen and you can't. And as a parent, how do you deal with knowing that you failed? Your one job in bringing a child into the world was to keep them safe, and you failed at that. So I think that hit a little bit closer to home for me because you don't have kids, but I can't imagine something like this happening to one of you guys. Not like the rabbit part, but the stuff that happened to the girls in here.
Yeah.
And feeling like, what could I have done better to protect you guys? I don't know. Anyway, so then we're at chapter 18. And all of the dads are gathered together in a barn that's owned by Ron.
Yes.
And they're just kind of trying to figure out what to do. And
this is previous to everything that's going on.
Yes.
They're talking about what they can try to do since everything happened to their girls.
Right. So this is kind of all the earlier chapters, not at the cabin. This is kind of a culmination of all of those, where we ended up from all those different stories.
It's the parents of all the girls.
So they're trying to figure out what they're going to do because they don't want these boys to keep being able to ruin people's lives. Well, they talk about going to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, but they're like, we can't do that. They're buddies with the sheriff. They're buddies with the mayor. It would get back to the city, and they'd make our lives heck. So then somebody suggests, how about we scare the boys? We slash their tires, we scare them, we spook them, we make them apologize.
Yeah.
And Jack's like, that's not good enough. They took my daughter, they can't apologize to her.
And they're pretty much, the suggestions are kind of like pranks. It's not
anything serious.
Yeah.
It would probably scare teenage boys, but not.
It's like when someone breaks up with you and they key your car.
Right. Yeah.
It's the equivalent of that. It's not.
Which I think it's interesting that their original plan was to get the boys to apologize, and then that kind of comes back around later on. But Jack is the one who suggests killing the boys.
Yeah.
And Zach objects, and then George says he's not sure he can do it. But somehow they convince him to go along with it.
It's like I said, it's
mentality we're talking about.
Mob mentality is a real thing.
So they plot out the whole thing. They're going to have a poker night at Ron's barn while the boys are on their trip.
So my question with that is, do you think these guys all knew each other beforehand? Because otherwise, it might seem weird for these random guys to just start hanging out and having a poker night.
Well, we know that Courtney and Taylor's parents knew each other because they were best friends.
Yeah.
So obviously they did.
And I get the implication it's a small town.
That's kind of what I think. I think kind of like our hometown.
Yeah.
Would I say I know all the parents of the kids you graduated with? No, but I would recognize them out in public. So I don't know. That's a good question. I didn't think about that.
It doesn't matter. It was just something
I
thought
know.
of.
No, I know, but I didn't think about that. Huh.
If they were all teenage girls, they probably, at some point in time, whether they were 6 or whatever, probably went to each other's birthday parties and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's how I would know, well, your younger sister, she went to school here her whole life, so you grew up, I grew up with those parents, you know. I don't know, that's a good thought. I hadn't thought about it. It kind of seems like they all kind of have different social statuses.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
You've got the one guy that's blue collar that went into the principal's office. You've got George, who's really religious. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm thinking way too hard on this, though. So they plot out the whole idea that they're going to have a poker night at the barn. They'll leave their cell phones behind. I didn't put who it was, but one of the guys says he has 2 old cars that don't have computers in them, so they can't be tracked.
Yeah.
So they're going to take those cars.
And they are going to get, like, alcohol bottles and put their DNA on it, so there's evidence they were there.
Right. I don't know if they talk about that at this
They
point.
may not.
But, so George quotes the scripture that says, "Thou shalt not kill," and he says he doesn't think he can do it.
Yeah.
And they kind of convince him that he's going to.
But it kind of sets up that George is going to betray him.
Right. Or that he's not really betray them. Like, I don't think he would have, like, turned them in, but, like, gonna
back out. Yeah.
Which comes into play later on because they think he's the last one to show up. So, but Justin says, killing them ain't enough. We have to make them suffer. So then, we're back at the cabin. And the dads pour boiling water on Justin's face and head.
Yeah. And the way it's described is disgusting.
And it's, again, kind of from Chase's point of view.
Mm-hmm.
But there's one part where he's talking, I think it's Jack is saying something, and every time he says the word fault, he pokes Justin's forehead, and it talks about his finger going into his...
Yeah.
Yuck.
What I was going to say is he talks, and whenever he talks, it's like, talks about how you can, like, see his teeth exposed through his cheek and stuff like that.
Is that him, or is that LaMichael? Or,
Well, I think that happens with him, too, but I'm pretty sure it talks about his face being melted to where whenever he talks. Maybe
I remember there being, like, strings of skin.
That's what I'm thinking of. It's lips. Like strings of, like, his lips are stuck together to each other with, like, strings as he's trying to talk.
Yeah. So they torture Justin, they pour, and of course we're from Chase's point of view. He's watching all this, and he's kind of like, he's actually kind of praying that God just takes Justin. He's like, I thought I would never pray this way, but, like, just end it for him because it's miserable.
And, like, he's so deformed now that even if he does live, he's not going to have a life, like...
Right. Like, he even says no amount of surgery would fix that. But then George, who was our dad that had doubts, he comes in and he stabs LaMichael repeatedly.
Mm-hmm.
And then he falls on the floor, he's crying, he's saying he's sorry. And then they jump kind of back on Zach again. And he says, I'll be ready, but nobody touches Chase until it's my turn.
Yeah.
So then we're back at the barn the night of the poker game. Ron is there waiting for the other men to come. They get there, they set up the barn to look like a poker game has gone on all night, which some of this stuff is kind of cool that they thought this much in depth. They dump out a bunch of beers, and then, like Dawson said, they dump them out and then act like they took a drink, so their DNA is on all the cans.
They basically do the same thing with cigars.
Yeah, they partially smoke cigars. They set up the poker game to look like they were in the middle of a game. They take a shot of vodka, so the DNA is on the glasses, and they have alcohol in their system if the police would test them, which I don't really know how much alcohol one shot of vodka would have me on the floor.
I think it's more of an excuse for them to take alcohol to get themselves in the right mindset to go do it than actually, because they kind of talk about that too. I think them saying, so we'll have alcohol in their system is more of a way to convince all the guys, hey, do this, because it gives them, it makes them less, it will make them think their actions through less, like they'll be more willing to go through with it.
Right, kind of calm their nerves.
Yeah, get the courage to do it, but I don't know if that's the right word to use.
Grow some balls and go do it.
Shut up or nut up.
There you go.
I think I said that backwards. I think it's nut up or shut up. Yeah, I said shut up.
I think it's nut up and shut up.
Yeah.
Quiz time. If y'all know what movie that's from, put it in the comments.
It's so 2009.
And this is also Jack shows the guys 2 containers of nitrous oxide that he stole from his dental practice.
Yes.
So this goes back to what we were talking about. You've got the blue-collar worker, and then Jack is a dentist.
And he explains that he is not the one that orders the stuff in. So what he did was he went in the computer and changed it to where he was short 2, so the person that ordered it would order 2 extras.
Right.
And then when the 2 came in, he changed it back in the computer so it was right.
Right.
And so there's like no evidence that this
Right.
took place, that he stole these 2.
Right. And that is actually what they threw through the windows of the bedroom to
Yes.
use to knock the boys out. And he even tells them at this point, he said, we have to be careful because we could kill them. And they're like, well, that's kind of the point. And he's like, no, we don't want to just knock them out and kill them with gas.
They don't want them to go peacefully.
Right.
They want them to suffer like their daughter suffered.
Right. And then Austin hands out the masks and the jumpsuits. And he says the masks were left over from, I think, an elementary school play that his daughter was in.
Yeah. And they, like it was described earlier, that they look like they've been sitting in like a basement forever. They had been.
Yeah. And there just happened to be 7 of them.
Well, there could have been more.
Well, that's true. So now we're back at the cabin, and Jack has the TV back on, and he replays the video of Courtney, and this is where it talks about Chase trying not to watch, but Courtney is the one who got raped at the party, and they recorded it. And it shows Irish reaching over and grabbing one of her breasts, and he says, I think she's smiling. Yeah, she likes it. So Jack takes the knife, and he slices open Irish's cheeks on both sides.
Yeah.
And it kind of put me in the mind of the Joker.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
But his are like all the way, I picture his being like all the way back.
Well, yeah. And they're like cut all the way through. Like, it's not just like surface scars.
Yeah.
Like, it's the cheeks are like hanging open like flaps.
Yeah. And while he's doing that, he knocks out several teeth. But I thought, it's not funny, but to me it was kind of funny because in the video, Irish says, I think she's smiling. Yeah, she likes it. Jack does that and he says, I think he's smiling. I think he likes it.
Yeah.
So then, Amani's dad cuts out Irish's tongue because he doesn't want to hear him talk anymore. And of course, she was the one that was bullied, so he doesn't want to hear his voice anymore.
And it's like gross. Like, he grabs his tongue and slices through it. And he talks about, because we're from Chase's point of view right now, Chase talks about how they have a knife that they use to cut through all that stuff that was really quick, but he specifically uses a knife that's going to take longer.
Yeah. So then Ron slits Irish's arms in the same way Courtney did to kill herself. So Jack tells Justin that everything is his fault. He needs to apologize. He needs to repent. That it's his fault the girls, that all of this happened to the girls. Kind of that he was the leader and that the other guys were kind of followers. And Justin's like, and this goes back to what we were talking about, scare them, make them apologize. And Justin says, I'm not sorry. Your daughter loved what we did. Your daughters are sluts and bitches.
Mm-hmm.
I said that on there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is I don't know what I was going to say. Oh, this is the guy that had the water poured over his head, so he's like melting.
Yes. And Jack had told him, he said, if you apologize and repent, it'll be quick.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't, so it's not quick.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jack cuts off his penis.
Yep.
And then he tells all of the other dads they need to take their pound of flesh.
Yeah.
So they each take the knife, and I think they use the machete at this point.
Probably.
But they each carve out a different piece of his body to have their pound of flesh. So
is Chase the only one left at this point?
Justin is still alive.
Okay.
Well, I think he dies at the end of this chapter, but he was still alive when they started cutting.
Yeah.
The chunks
Yes,
off.
I know. I knew that.
So now it's Zach's turn, who's Megan's dad.
And he tells the guys.
Well, hang on. He kind of whispers to Chase and tells Chase that there was a complication with the pregnancy and Megan didn't make it.
Does he do that here?
Yes.
I thought he asked the guys to leave first.
No, he whispers it to him. And Chase asks him why, and he says, because I didn't want you to suffer. So Zach's kind of there, like, yes, he's going to kill Chase, but he doesn't want Chase to be treated like the other boys were treated. And he even tells him, I should have been nicer to you. I should have treated you like a son. I really liked you, or something like that. So Chase asks for a minute to prepare, and he recites the Lord's Prayer. And then he asks Zach to get his phone, because his lock screen...
I don't think he was saying that he was going to kill him fast so that he would get it over with.
Yeah.
I thought he was saying... I might be wrong, but I thought the implication was he was going to go along with it until he found out for a fact that Chase did not do it on purpose.
I make sure it was easy for you. I wanted to make sure it was easy for you, is what Zach said.
Okay.
So he asked Zach if he can have his phone.
Because his lock screen is a picture of him and Megan.
Yeah, and so Zach puts it on his lap. Well, then when the screen goes dark, he turns it back on so that Chase can see Megan again. So Zach goes behind Chase, puts the knife to his throat, and then this is when Zach asks the guys if they can have some privacy.
Okay. So they reluctantly leave. They kind of...
Justin doesn't want to.
Yeah, I was going to say, they kind of have an argument about it.
Right.
Is it Ron that finally convinces him, let's just give him his moment?
Yeah. So Zach starts cutting through the tape, and he tells Chase is like, are you letting me go? And he said yes. So he tells him, I'm going to go outside. When I say now, you run toward the trees and you'll hit the main road. If you don't see a car, keep going. I think it's left, and you'll end up in town.
Yeah.
So that's the end of that chapter.
And like we said, it was kind of... George was kind of a misdirect. Because you almost think he's going to, like, betray and do something.
Right. But
it's kind of Zach that does.
Yeah, and then George, he ended up taking out all his aggression on Michael, So Zach pushes the door open, it hits one of the dads in the nose, knocks him down. Zach jumps on Ron and tells Chase to run.
My question about that is, I know they left him in there by himself, but did they not think that maybe he would come outside? Like, why would you stand right by the door so you would get hit?
Well, I kind of picture it like... if you go out a door, you're going to open it slowly and go out. And I picture him, like, full-on running through the door.
I know that, but even so, I don't know where you'd stand where the door's going to hit you.
Well, that's true, but I don't know.
Because,
maybe he was standing there guarding the door.
It is not that hard to break out of duct tape in reality. What if Chase had broken out and knocked him out and ran out the door? Like... I understand guarding the door, but I don't know why you'd be standing close enough to actually get hit with the door if someone comes out. That just seems dumb to me.
I don't either. But then, so Zach takes down Ron, and he tells Chase to run. So, Chase takes off through the woods, and you're like, yay, we've got a hero. Chase is going to make it. Chase didn't really deserve any of this. He's getting shot at with guns, these bows and arrows.
Yeah, and he's talking about how he's running through the woods, it's flying past him, and he gets up onto, like, the embankment that leads to the road.
Hang on just a second. You missed something. He hears a gunshot back at the cabin and knows that they shot Zach and that Zach is dead.
So he's climbing up this embankment, and he gets, like, right to the guardrail, and he's about to, like, pull himself up so people can see if they go by.
And he can hear cars.
Yeah. And an arrow flies into the back of his neck.
And this, like, it about made me cry. It paralyzes him. And so, again, we're kind of from that, what do you call it, third person.
I said not third person omniscient, third person focused on.
Right. So, as he's laying there, he can't breathe. He's talking about how his lungs aren't working. He can't move. His head is one direction, but his eyes are still, he can, like, blink, I think is the only thing he can do.
Well, he can still move his head. He's paralyzed from the neck down.
I don't think he can move his head. Like, actually move his head, because they talk about...
Well, like, he could move his mouth and stuff like that.
Right, okay, but not like his neck.
That's what I mean by
couldn't...
neck down.
Okay. But we see them carrying him back to the cabin.
Yeah. And they even make a comment, they're like, oh, you got him right in the neck.
And then they talk about him blinking his eyes.
Yeah.
And that's really the only way he can communicate anything.
Yeah.
So it's really kind of sad, because here's our hero and he didn't make it. I mean,
our final girl.
right. So then,
I don't know if I would quite call him a hero.
well, were you rooting for him?
Somewhat. But like I said, even though he didn't necessarily partake in the stuff that they did, I think he would have. Because he swallows the disgust down, and he's kind of just... He kind of is just like, okay, this is what you have to do to be in this group.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder, even, if, since he's just a sophomore and he's joining them, if maybe the other guys were in good relationships too, and they were ruined on purpose by these guys, and it just, like...
Kind of like he's the next generation.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, once you do it once, like, what's it doing at another time?
Right.
And if you get all these people
and
around
you're untouchable again.
Yeah.
Like, you get away with it once, you're going to keep trying.
Well, it's like, not that this is like a huge thing, but it's a thing in some movies. It's like, okay, like The Punisher, for example. That's a good example. So, like, The Punisher, he was a veteran, and he got all this praise for killing people in other countries because they were a threat to us. So, now that he's back in the United States, he can't stop that. He can't turn it off. Like, he's dedicated. And a lot of people talk about this with Punisher. Yes, he supposedly started his war on crime because his wife and family died, but he just kind of uses that as an excuse. Like, I feel like he always would have gotten back to that point because it's what he knows. And when you get praise for something and you're in a group of people that all are supporting you in the thing you're doing, it's just going to reinforce that for you, and you're going to write it in your mind.
And wasn't there kind of in the beginning chapter we got the feeling that Chase didn't really want to drink or anything, and then he ends up getting drunk off his butt.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of peer pressure.
Well, and even that too. It's like there's all these substances around him, like the weed and the alcohol and all that, and it's like you're more susceptible to other people's influence when you're under that stuff. Right. So if they got him drunk at a party and like forced him to even just hold the camera while they rape a girl or something, then they can go back on it and be like, look, you did it, so you might as well get involved.
And one thing we didn't talk about was they do smoke weed. We mentioned it, but they even know, like, well, the state won't do drug testing for 30 days, so this is the last day you can, or 45 days, so this is the last day you can smoke it. It'll be out of your system before they do that. So they know, like, they're
it's
just
like they've got it all memorized and they know.
So last chapter, and then we can get into thoughts about the book. They come up with a new plan. They send a couple guys to go get Zach's car. They bring it to the cabin. They wipe it down. He was never at the poker game, which I have a question about that. So Zach, the plan, the thing is, Zach went to the cabin, murdered the kids, killed himself.
Yes. They plant the gun on him. Did you say that?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I didn't say that, but they do.
Yeah.
And they even
the
talk
gun
about
that was used to kill him, they plant on him.
And they actually talk about filing off the
serial number.
Justin tells somebody to file off the serial number.
Which I don't know. I don't think you would be able to just do that real quick, because they're in like a hurry because day's starting to break, so they need to get back.
Yeah.
I don't think you could do that real quick.
I don't know what it would take to do that. So I don't know if there'd be something at the cabin they'd have to do. I mean,
maybe like a Dremel or something could take it off. I don't know.
I don't know. I've never done that.
I haven't either. For
They-
legal
so
purposes,
they-
I've never done that.
They cut the bodies off the chairs. They take the bodies out of the trees. They bring them back inside the cabin. They bring Nick's head back. My whole thing with that part, though, and this is probably my only, like, big plot hole, was what was the point of taking them back inside? Because if you hang a body in a tree, there's going to be blood. There's going to be blood outside the door where they killed Ford.
Because they burn the cabin down.
But they didn't burn the trees.
I know they didn't. But that's going to destroy... It's more about them destroying the evidence
like
on
getting...
the bodies.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes sense.
Because I feel like you would be able to look at someone and say this had to be the work of multiple people. But if the bodies are inside...
And burnt, yeah, that makes sense.
So they pour gas in the cabin and gas on his car.
Right.
Or
yes.
They go back to the barn and get his car and bring it here and then light it on fire and light the cabin on fire.
They go back to the barn.
So they don't ever actually kill Chase yet, do they? Like, it never says that they break his neck or anything.
No, he's dead.
Does he? Do they kill him, or is it just like
he's dead from that era because he can't breathe.
Okay. Because I was thinking, what if he was still alive when the cabin's burning?
His last thought as the darkness took over was of Megan's smiling face and the life they could have had together.
Okay.
Chase's deceased body slumped over George's shoulder.
Okay. Because I was just thinking, for me, the worst way to go would be to burn.
Yeah.
And I know people say that it wouldn't be that bad because your nerves burn away, but before your nerves burn away, the intense pain you would feel would be terrible.
Yeah. Can't.
I would not want to burn.
So they go back to the barn. They burn the jumpsuits. They're gonna burn the jumpsuits and the masks. They bury the weapons out back of the barn. They get rid of any evidence that Zach was there.
At the barn.
At the barn.
Yeah.
And then they kind of just they see the smoke and hear the sirens, and then they all kind of just head back home.
Yeah, and that's where the story ends.
That's where the story ends. Yeah. So let's talk about it.
I think one of the most powerful moments in it is when they do the slideshow of their daughters through the years.
Yeah.
But it makes me wonder if... I like the book. I think it was pretty well written. But it almost would work better if the 7 rabbits were the girls that were attacked. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but Courtney and Taylor are gone.
I know that, but...
And I think... So, I was going to mention this earlier, but I didn't because I didn't want to give away the ending. But that was one thing Tim says in his interview. I asked him about his inspiration for this book, and he said he has a daughter who's in high school. And she was being bullied and had lots of things going on, and he wanted a way to avenge that. And so that's...
An outlet.
Right, and so that's kind of where the story idea came from. So I get what you're saying, but also a bunch of teenage girls against a bunch of high school football players.
Yeah.
Kind of uneven.
A lot of complaints that people have with rape revenge movies is most of the time in rape revenge movies, the woman is raped and then a lot of times she's killed. Sometimes she's not. But it's a man in her life that gets revenge. It's her brother or her dad or someone like that. And I just think from a feminist standpoint, the women themselves getting revenge is a lot more powerful than their family.
Right, but again, there's some pretty moving parts in that book with the videos and the, him saying he failed as a dad, and I mean...
I still think it's a really good book.
I do too. I'm kind of like a big fan. Probably number one fan of Tim's. My thing is, for a first published novel, is so well written, and that last scene with Chase is so tense. And I even, I've read it more than once, and I was reading it yesterday, and I'm, sitting there chewing my fingernails, because I'm like, Chase is going to make it. And I knew Chase didn't make it, but it's so tense that he's running through the woods.
And I think you got a lot more invested in the book than I did. And I think a lot of that comes with our preferences on what kind of horror we like.
Right.
And I tend to lead more towards, the supernatural and, the cosmic horror and cryptids and stuff like that.
Right. And I read everything, but...
Yeah. But you've told me before that one of the things that scares you most is when it's people.
Right. And I think it also has a lot to do with the places we're at in life. You're not a dad.
That's true.
I think if you, in 20 years, if you have a daughter and you go back and read this book, it may hit completely different. And that's one good thing about horror. You can read it and have a completely different experience than I can.
And I'm not saying I didn't like the book, because I really enjoyed the book, and I love his writing style. I'd love to read more from him.
Heck yeah. We're going to have to do another one of his books. So, overall, fantastic story. I know this is the end of the video, but please check trigger warnings on this one. Like I said before, he was adamant that if you're going to read this book, check the trigger warnings.
Go support him. I will put a link to buy this book, and maybe just a link to him in general. Check his stuff out.
He is a super awesome writer. Super great part of the indie horror community, which I love to support indie authors.
And he's a really great guy. He's very nice.
He is. And he's got another book called Portluck that is a creature feature. He's got a series of short stories. I'm not going to say the name of that one, but look
F
it up.
them kids.
And then he just released a novella called The Harvesting, which is really good. And then listen to the video from earlier this week. He talks about what else he's got coming up. So,
Yes, and he's got other books in the works, so
yep,
there's more in the future.
Yep. So,
And you mentioned that a lot of people joke that he's Stephen King's long lost nephew.
Yeah, that's like a big thing in the indie horror community. But
Yeah.
he is not, no relation.
No. It's like an inside joke.
Yeah, but yep, check him out. He is awesome, and check out our interview with him.
Yeah.